DJ Soupa Model is a visionary. I have a big vision for Africa. From a background perspective, obviously, I am from Nigeria. There are a lot of misconceptions when it comes to Africa as a whole. And I think it's because it's the lack of exposure. Most people that have not visited yet, they can only judge based off of what they see on TV, and a good amount of what they show of Africa are usually folks that need food, charity donations and whatnot. They don't focus on the better side of Africa. Africa is very, very beautiful. We have a lot of natural resources, natural nature, animals. Like a lot of the species come from Africa. They tend not to focus on that side. Media is powerful, and I think it's because that's what benefits them. There's really no benefit because media does not necessarily make money from tourism or showing the good side of Africa. That's not their territory. Most of them don't have businesses there. So what benefit is it for them to showcase that side as opposed to the other side, which is the donation, the charity, the Red Crosses that are necessarily asking for people to donate. They have to put that picture in place for people to almost feel some type of pity. I didn't join the choir until I was about 13, and I stumbled into it. The reason was because there was a song at my church that they needed somebody to sing a part, and they couldn't find anybody to sing because they had a little rap and a little sing to it, and I was like, okay, I'll do it. So I learned the song, and that was how I started. I started getting involved little by little. Obviously went for choir practices, learned new songs. So I started understanding the structure of music and how it worked, and the harmonies, the tenors, the sopranos, and whatnot. But I still never wanted to be on the forefront. And my friend said, I want to be a DJ. I said, me too. I just thought it was cool. I see people spin, and it's like, yeah, I want to do it. So he went to the store, and I followed him. He bought equipment, so I bought my own equipment. I was like, this is cool. So we just asked the store manager, what's the nice gear for a DJ? So that was how it all started. I ended up setting up in my basement, and I would practice day and night, trying to watch videos and I'll come back, learn the scratch, watch videos, trying to learn the transitions and how to blend two songs together. It's like, this is not bad, this is actually cool. But the reception was still not there. I wasn't easily accepted. Because again, like I said, it's like a taboo for a female to say they want to DJ. And when I started DJing, there was no female DJ. There was no African female DJ at all, period, none at all. So it was almost like, what are you doing? Like, nobody does this. You're not supposed to do this. I remember gigs that I've been to, and I'm walking into the gig, and then they'll say, hi, I'm like, hi. And then they're like, they're looking back, they're like, so where's the DJ? And I'm like, that's me, right here. So, and you could just get the look, like that unspoken look. They're like, I know you're not DJing my party, So, but what it did for me, it made me work 10 times harder. I had something to prove. I was literally jump-starting something that never existed. So I had to do way, way more than I really planned for. And since I already threw myself out there, I couldn't just come back and say, I don't want to DJ anymore. I took the challenge. Crossing over, wow, man, it was rough, man. It was rough. Obviously being African, female, it was rough. It was rough. I mean, I could tell you stories for days. You're not expected to know what you're doing in the music industry. First of all, there's not a whole lot of female producers out there, prominent female producers, and even the underground ones. There's not a lot of them at all. So if you're trying to step into a studio, you better know what you're doing. Be on your A game. Nicola Kuti, who's one of the biggest Afrobeat act. He was actually one of the pioneers of the sound Afrobeat. Now it's called Afrobeats with an S. It's highly infused with African percussions and some jazz and some high life with a little bit of funk in it. That's fella's sound. Afrobeats was, had not really. It started about the same time it wasn't mainstream. You know, you had artists like Two-Face and artists like P-Square were really just like literally the rookies of the games. You had like Young and Pretty. You had a lot of the new acts that were just jumping on the scene, but they were considered local artists because it was just Africans that were listening to them. You know, foreigners were not really paying attention to them. So I remember having to spin those type of records even in the US. And some people were receptive to it. A lot were like, what is this? You know, they're like, we don't want the African music. You know, that's what they call it. What is that African music? They don't even understand what they're talking about, so they don't want to hear it. And it crossing over into US now, it's a wonderful feeling. Wale is actually one of the acts that really started giving exposure to a lot of up-and-coming African acts, mostly Nigerians, because Wale is of Nigerian descent. You know, he's worked with a lot of our acts like Wizkid, Olamide, Davido, Ice Prince, and them. He was actually one of the acts that actually started featuring on their tracks and featuring them on his track. So definitely, he's doing a lot of stuff for his culture. A good handful of the artists are now getting signed to major deals out here right now. This is just the beginning. Obviously, there's a long, we still have a long way to go. Majority of Americans still don't know what Afrobeats is. They may have heard of it. Somebody might have said it, and but they don't know the sound. They don't understand the culture yet, and it's really going to take a lot of work for it to get there. We're going to need proper deal structures. We're going to need proper marketing in place, proper mix show, proper record services, proper shows, proper venues, in order for this thing to actually become mainstream that we're hoping for it to be.